This is Garis, masculist, MGTOW flyers. That is 2-3-page essays on the themes of masculism and MGTOW, written by and read aloud by Prof. Dr. Hugo de Garis. This is flyer number 552, part 2, entitled, "What will fully biconscious campuses be like?" Continuing straight on. But if the monoconscious girlfriend remains monoconscious, stubbornly so, then his level of contempt for her callous bigotry, her not giving a shit about the ways that women oppress men, and badly, for decades, for example, women's manslavery, women's divorce rape, women's forced fatherhood, etc., will make him very unhappy and start seeing her as dumpable. These boyfriends, being men, will have an intuitive understanding of masculinist ideas, since they are male, having male brains, and will understand the ideas coming from masculists, who are also male, having male brains. If these biconscious masculists start feeling real antagonism towards their monoconscious girlfriends, then they will start looking at other women on campus who have already converted themselves into biconsciousness, and hence be a lot nicer to be with than having to suffer the constant, bitter, ideological disputes between a bigoted, ignorant, callous, monoconscious feminist, a near-to-be ex-girlfriend, and a sympathetic, biconscious, near-to-be future girlfriend. As this process runs to near completion, that is, to saturation, in which nearly all the women on campus have been converted to biconsciousness, then the whole feel on campus will be different, which brings me to the second part of this flyer. So, imagine that nearly everyone on campus is now biconscious. How will it feel? The new biconsciousness will cause many changes on campus. One is that many more women will be studying career competent majors that will allow them to be FIPs, it's financially independent persons, since the core idea of masculism is that it is a rebellion by men against being man-slaves to women, refusing to work for women for decades of a man's life. Many biconscious masculists on campus will be hurling the highly pejorative label of fluffy crapper towards those women who are studying fluffy crap majors. That will cause them to become fluffies as adults, unable to earn good money in the marketplace, since they did not bother to fip up and expect at the back of their minds that some gullible, ignorant man-slave will work for her as a result of her wiggling her twat at him. Those days are over, since the male students will have been masculisted and MGTOW'd, who are well informed of men's lib ideas and will not look kindly at a woman who expects to behave as a fluffy towards him. He will expect any potential girlfriend of his to pull her financial weight, and if she doesn't, then she rots on the shelf. A fluffy can only be a fluffy if she can get her financial claws into some gullible, man-slaveable man who is ignorant of masculinist ideas, who expects to work for a woman for decades of his life, thus be man-slaved by her. But being traditional, he doesn't see his man-slavery as such. He sees it as just the norm, the way his parents lived, etc., and does not question it. But that unquestioning will become increasingly impossible on campus, since masculinist ideas will be in the air, in the food, in the classrooms, in the discussions, pillow talk, etc. It will be impossible to escape it, so virtually everyone on campus will be exposed to masculist and MGTOW ideas and be inevitably influenced by them. Once the campuses are fully biconscious, their whole feel for men will be different. One of the main reasons why today, on many campuses, the ratio of female to male students is pretty much 2-to-1, is that feminism is currently so dominant that monoconscious feminists have been so brainwashed that gender oppression is a one-way street, that these young monoconscious feminist students feel they have the right to publicly castigate men for being the oppressors. So they have made campus life really shitty for men. So lots of young men refuse to go to college and study at trade schools, etc. That is, in more male environments, to avoid monoconscious feminazi bitchery on university campuses. But on a fully biconscious campus, that will be a thing of the past. In fact, if some retrograde monoconscious feminist expresses her monoconscious viewpoint, she will be ridiculed by both sexes as being old-fashioned. The more verbally aggressive biconscious masculists on campus will verbally attack her and make her feel very uncomfortable, being told to her face that in reality women oppress men worse, and being told that she should study up women's manslavery, women's divorce rape, women's forced fatherhood, etc., so that she learns that gender oppression is a two-way street and stops being a, quote, monoconscious feminazi cunt. Probably 5 years from now, an equilibrium will have been attained where both sexes know both gender political ideologies more or less equally, so that monoconsciousness dies out. Women will then lose their monoconscious bitchiness and be much more approachable by men. Biconscious female students will then be much more likely to hold on to their biconscious boyfriends and will lose out less to biconscious female students, who will be seen as being a lot more attractive and competitive as potential girlfriends by the male students. The male students will feel a lot more confident on a fully biconscious campus, since the current monoconscious bigotry of feminist students will have disappeared. Female students will be as well informed of masculist ideas as male students and react appropriately. Generally, life on campus should become a lot more relaxed as the gender political dust settles after a few years of bitter, verbally violent gender political ideological wars between the monoconscious feminists and the biconscious masculists, as the biconscious masculists win, converting the whole campus to biconsciousness. Then both sexes can then get on with their studying to learn career competent majors so that they can be FIPS as adults and pull their own financial weight and behave as adults, responsible adults who don't parasite off the money and labour of another human being. Masculism will force women to grow up, and it will transform the campuses and later society by making everyone biconscious, which is a higher state of being and a more civilized way to live. Cheers. Prof. Dr. Hugo de Garis. Email profhugodegaris@yahoo.com. Website profhugodegaris.wordpress.com. Author of the book Masculism, Men's Rebellion Against Being Man-Slaves to Women, an e-textbook of 550 plus masculist flyers for men's studies courses, freely downloadable in Microsoft Word format from my website. Ciao.